Call the Newman City Council regular meeting to order for August 28, 2001. We're going to rise and have a pledge of allegiance, and please remain standing for the invocation. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May we bow our heads in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing us here safely to this meeting tonight. We ask that you guide us in our decision making, and also for the officer that's going to be sworn in tonight, that he has a long and prosperous career in law enforcement. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome.
Could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Parker?
Present.
Applegate?
Present.
Martinez?
Present.
Amethyst?
Present.
Mayor Reed?
Present. Item number 5, I'm going to administer the oath of office to our new police officer, Gabriel Cuevas. Gabriel, could we repeat this after me? I, Gabriel Cuevas, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation, purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter. Thank you.
Speech.
We require speech.
I didn't think this was real. I thought they were pulling my leg earlier. So you have only 15 minutes. Okay. Well, I want to thank everybody for giving me this opportunity to work for this community, and I'm looking forward to serving the community with true faith, with integrity, and what else? I'm sorry?
Would you like to introduce your family?
Yes, this is my family here. I want to thank them for coming out tonight, and my parents are here. I'm thankful for them for supporting me, and my family and my friends for supporting me in this career, for sticking along for the last couple of years I've been in law enforcement. So I want to thank them, and Chief Brady for giving me the opportunity to work for this agency in this town. Thank you.
You know, you kind of have to get used to public speaking, being in the uniform. People going to ask you directions all the time, all kinds of questions.
All right, item number 6, communications from the staff. Any communications right now? I only see 2 staff and no one saying anything, so. Item number 7, items from the public, non-agenda items. While the City Council welcomes and encourages participation in the meetings, it would be appreciated if you would limit your comments to 3 minutes so that everyone may be heard. Matters under the jurisdiction of the council and not on the posted agenda may be addressed by the general public at this time. However, California law prohibits the council from taking action on any matter which is not on the posted agenda unless it's determined to be an emergency by the city council. Anyone have anything to say on non-agenda items? Okay. Items from the public, agenda items. Any member of the audience desiring to address the council on a matter on the agenda, please raise your hand or step to the podium at the time the item is announced by the mayor. In order that all interested parties have an opportunity to speak, any person addressing the council will be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes unless the mayor grants a longer period of time. And when you come to the podium, please state your name and address for the record. And item number 8, there are no public hearings. Item number 9, consent calendar. Item 9A, approval of warrants. Item 9B, approval of minutes of the August 14, 2001 special meeting and August 14, 2001 regular meeting. Item 9C, second reading and adoption of ordinance number 2001-1, an ordinance amending the general zoning ordinance and accompanying zoning maps of the city of Newman, being ordinance number 97-17, by rezoning a portion of the city of Newman known as the Lucas Ranch 2 subdivision. Item 9D is second reading of ordinance number 2001-2, adopting revisions to the municipal code to adopt fees by resolution rather than ordinance with an automatic inflation adjustment. Any questions on the agenda? Can we have some direction?
I move to approve the consent calendar as stated.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Item number 10, regular business. Item number 10A, review sale of corporation yard to John Kaplan. Cleve?
Just quickly, you have my report. It's fairly brief. Mr. Kaplan and I have been working for quite some time on trying to make this deal work. The city has been looking for some time in being able to enlarge our corporation yard, additional property that we need in order to store the equipment and supplies that we need. So we had looked and I had talked to Mr. Kaplan about that, let him know that we may be interested in selling that. But it was always contingent on the fact that we needed to be able to find a new location for a new corporation yard to make that work. Bottom line is we've looked at a couple of options. However, right now nothing has worked to enable us to find a new location. We're still working on that. We will continue to work on it. Whether or not Mr. Kaplan were to buy the property, we do see a need to expand our corporation yard. So with that, that is where we're at currently. We cannot sell our existing corporation yard until we come up with a solution of where to move to on a new site. So that's basically all I have to add on this, and Mr. Kaplan can add additional information. Come to the microphone.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Basically, what I said, I had a quick statement before the end of the last meeting, and what I need to do is relocate my business in the near future. When we first started talking, it wasn't the near future, it was long term, so now I'm kind of between a rock and a hard place. I've been looking everywhere for a short-term rental situation, and there's really nothing suitable for my needs here in Newman. I've been commuting for almost 14 years up until the last 3, and I hope I don't have to start driving to work every day again, but it's possible I may have to do that depending upon how long it takes for the city of Newman to actually put a plan in place and get negotiations rolling really well enough to make a decision. I don't want to be pushy about it, but I kind of am between a rock and a hard place. And if you have any suggestions about anything I can do short term until this opens up, I'm all ears.
Yeah, I've talked to John and I've told him that I will try and find something, and I am still looking at various possibilities, but I haven't come up with anything. He's probably looked harder than I have, in fact, looked for what there is here in Newman, and we are working on that.
You can only drive up and down that industrial park so many times and not know what's there, you know.
Yeah.
There's really nothing here. You know, I am your typical Bay Area company that's going to employ between 5 and 10 people. And these are the type of businesses that I keep on hearing from the people in redevelopment and city employees, whatever. It seems like I'm the type of business you want here in Newman. You know, it's a good business that's high tech and it's always going to be here. And I want us to stay in here in Newman. Right now, I think I'm going to be moving out because there's really nowhere for me to go. And because, you know, I've worked hard the last 3 years, put some money aside, I don't want to be paying rent to somebody all the rest of my life either. That corporation yard, maybe it's too good to be true, I don't know. Maybe I could have a written agreement from the city that in the future when a decision is made, the property could be sold to me at the price it was appraised for at the time. That would be something where I would consider, you know, maybe signing another 1-year lease somewhere and find out where we're at, say, within a year from now. Because I think within a year the city should have pretty much something going on with the new corporation yard. Am I right in saying that?
We hope so. We need
Okay.
one badly, and it's just a matter of finding the right place at a price that
Understand.
we can afford. So we are working on it, and I know that you're, like you said, between a rock and a hard place, and we are kind of too. We can't sell you our property until we find something else, and we're working on it. How soon that comes to fruition, I don't know, but it will over a period of time. As far as the agreement to sell our property at a later date to you at the same price, I've talked to Cleve about that, and then he'll bring it back to us.
Okay.
It's a possibility. Outside of that, I sympathize with you, John. I just don't know what we can do. We're trying to.
Mm-hmm. I thought it would be a good idea, at least me, to voice my concerns. So down the road, you know, if I'm, say, in Patterson or somewhere else and our business is thriving and everything, maybe you guys can look back and say, God, maybe we should have done something to help. You know, I've been here 14 years. I'm a homeowner here. My business has been doing well. I buy almost all of my goods local here. And, you know, for me to move out and start driving down the road again every day, it's really not my plan. I wanted to work in the city of Newman. One good thing about getting that corporation yard, it'd be back on the tax payroll again. You know, that's a plus.
We realize this, and
Employing a bunch of people
We
is
want to
another.
keep you here at all costs, but we have to have a place, you know, for our corporation yard too. And right now, we just don't have a place.
Okay.
So, but as soon as we can find something, and again, if you would like to talk to Cleve about the other thing of possibly purchasing that at a later date when we do find another place, why, I'd like for you to do that. And meanwhile, we'll try our best to find something.
Okay. At
Okay.
least we're all aware of my situation.
Right.
Maybe we'll get some help down the road.
Okay. Thank
Thanks.
you very much, John. Item number 10B, review and approve a business interruption loan program for businesses affected by the streetscape project. Margaret?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the council.
Good
The-
evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I like to respond when people say good evening.
Have a nice day.
Working on it.
Working on it. The item before you was continued from last meeting. The council had been approached by various businesses asking for assistance since their businesses had been adversely affected during the construction of the streetscape program. Staff was instructed to put together a loan program to assist these businesses, and you have that before you. Staff is asking for some parameters that council needs to establish so we know exactly what we're going to do to set the interest rates and the amounts and so forth. Basically, the plan will be this. A committee will be appointed by the council, made up of a bank representative, a city staff member, and a member at large. This committee will review and approve the applications and set the amount that the loan will be. The loan is going to be based on, first of all, they need documentation of the loss that was suffered during the construction, and this will be The documentation will be that's requested is a State Board of Equalization's quarterly sales tax form. It needs to be 3 years covering the same period that the particular work was done, so that we can make sure that during that period that there was a loss from prior years. And most likely we might be asking for additional forms such as financial statements such as income tax returns to ensure that the payments will be made back to the city. We want to ensure these loans to be repaid. All the information that the committee receives will be confidential. The second basis will be the period of interruption. It depends how long staff is recommending that the period of time that the loss will be determined should be determined by the period of time that the sidewalk was inaccessible for the business. Phase 1 was scheduled to start June 1st, and we'd have to check with the contractor to see for each particular business how long that particular sidewalk was blocked, be it 2 weeks, a month, whatever the period of time for each particular business. The third variable will be the degree of access disruption. There should be a different consideration for a business that has only one access and the sidewalk to that one access was torn up versus a business that has other means of getting into the particular business, and also the nature of business. The committee needs to determine there's certain businesses that suffer more when their opening their front doors are not open versus other businesses such as City Hall that you have to come and see us no matter what. So with those 4 parameters, the degree of loss, the period of time that the loss occurred, the degree of access disruption, how hard was it for folks to get into the business, and the nature of business that was interrupted, these 4 items would be considered by the committee, and they would then authorize the amount of the loan. Staff is asking council to establish a rate of interest, and we recommend somewhere between no interest to 3%. The term of the loans either to be from 6 months to up to 2 years, and if the note should be secured or unsecured. There is a cost involved in securing these notes. If we put a lien on the property, that's a very costly affair, and for a $2,000 loan for a process that could cost the city up to $800, that's not financially feasible. I talked to the attorney's office, and they also suggested that there is a way of putting a lien on the inventory by using the Uniform Commercial Code. That too would cost about $300 to $400 to set up, having the attorney work with us to create the forms, and a filing fee with the Secretary of State for each particular form we do. This is an option that the loan committee could look into to see the necessity of securing these loans if it's the council's desire to ensure that these loans are secured. Or we could just go with the note and a written agreement and have the loan unsecured. We have a possible 50 businesses that could file. Maybe very few of them might have been adversely affected by it. But thinking of the worst, it could be 50 businesses with a range of $2,000, $5,000. This could impact the city by $100,000 to $250,000 if each one of these businesses were to qualify for whatever you determine the maximum of the loan to be. So staff is looking for guidance to set these parameters and asking if council wishes to approve this loan program.
Anyone have any questions?
Yeah, Margaret, number 3 and number 4, are those necessary?
I think it should help the committee determine if you have 2 businesses and one had is more accessible, and if one depends. There's some businesses you walk by, and if you don't go in, you go somewhere else, they get hurt. There's other businesses, such as the City Hall, such as the bank, you have to go there. This actually it's your call, but I just thought to make these variables is something that the committee may want to consider when you have limited funds, and you might have up to 50 businesses filing. These are just thoughts.
Well, since they're just thoughts and you're putting out a thought on a projection of the number of businesses,
Exactly.
how much interest has been shown? I know that there is some, but how much interest has been shown that we're aware of? The staff can answer that question.
We have only been contacted by one business at this time.
Okay, so we've been contacted by one thus far. There's a possibility we may or may not be contacted by 49 others. I mean, I look at this as a very good solution in terms of helping to provide for the disarray that our downtown has been in. But I also look at being fiscally responsible and spending tax dollars responsibly,
Right.
because our monies are allocated by the state, and we don't always have a direct, except for
This is
businesses.
this is redevelopment money that we're pooling, not state funds or general funds.
Right, so it's from
Yeah.
our redevelopment fund
Agency,
upwards
yeah.
to the possibility of 250,000
Right.
if we went to this
Yes,
large
it
number that
could-
you're speaking of.
Possibly be. There might be a renewed interest if this becomes available.
And then the parameters that you set up, I don't know how arbitrary they may seem to my colleagues, but the main thrust is we don't want any businesses dissolving as a result of what's been going on downtown.
Right.
We want to
Right.
be able to help them survive through this. And part of that is for the community to rally behind them as well as this council. However, the interest rate, 0 to 3%. 3% is below prime
Yes.
currently. I mean, in other
Yeah,
words,
and
prime is what
low.
banks charge each other for loans. So I couldn't see us going anything below the nominal amount of 3%. And I understand the terms 6 to 24 months. Under the guidance of $2,000 to $5,000, you're not really paying a
Yeah.
lot of interest
Right.
anyway.
It would just help recoup a little bit of the,
The
well, it would
expenses of-
actually, we'd be losing money. Our current investment in LAIF is about 5.25%.
So we'd be
So
taking
we
a
would be
loss on-
losing some interest revenue.
And there would
but
be nominal charges with administration fees for us processing, even if we do
We-
it unsecured.
Normally not for ourselves, but any direct costs, like if we do have the attorney's office draw up those forms, or if we do have to go through a title company, those direct costs, I would hope I can charge against the loan.
Okay, but if we went the unsecured route, there would not be
There would
those
not be additional
administrative
costs. We'll eat our costs.
Tom, anything?
Well, unsecured would be a last resort. That's, as far as repayment. I want everything secured as much as possible.
My only thing with that, Tom, is, and I agree pretty much with you, but if you're only doing a $2,000 loan and you've got an $800 cost to secure it,
That's what I was thinking.
at some point, you wonder if that's worth it, especially if we say, if we're gonna put that cost on them, all of a sudden their $2,000 is $1,200.
Well, I think we're looking at the
but-
background on it anyway.
Right, it's
So that,
case basis.
we're not going to issue the loan to someone that has no inventory, no building or anything, because that, this would
It will
work
be
out,
the
but-
role of the committee
Yeah.
because they need to be prudent in loaning out the money, period. Even though this is assistance, it's something that a bank may not help an individual with, the city still needs to be prudent with public funds.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we can't
Right.
give money away, so.
No,
John?
I agree. I think we should, go by case,
Well,
whoever
I
comes
think
in
we should
and
probably set up
and
an
keep all
interest
four of
rate,
these
a time,
in
and
there.
secured or unsecured, those three items.
yeah, and the amount also.
Yeah,
These are just suggested parameters, so if council believes,
I would like to see us limit the amount of risk that the city takes to $100,000 maximum in terms of the totality of the
Oh,
amount that
okay.
we would loan, period, would be.
I don't think we're gonna get anywhere near that, though.
Yeah, oh, I know, no, not per loan.
Not per loan,
Just
okay.
the amount that you have here, the
Okay.
possibilities, we would limit it to just
Total.
100,000.
I could tell.
We don't have that much money in the coffers.
That's correct.
Margaret. I'm pretty aware of what our budget is.
There's another thing you need to do too, is that you need to set a sunset date as to so many months after the project is finished. This is not an ongoing program.
Wasn't that mentioned in here
yes,
somewhere?
in the flyer that we would be passing out that describes it, it says application is due within 40 days after the sidewalk is completed and the entry access is available.
I'm talking about sunset date for the whole project.
Well, it would
Well,
be 45 days after the last,
After
After the last.
after the final phase.
yeah, once the access, and it's only going to be the period of time that the actual doorway is blocked because the sidewalk is disrupted. And that's just a recommended parameter, so we can either point
Margaret,
down.
what you may want to consider is possibly not just the doorway, but the street.
The street?
Because if the street is closed down, that
Okay.
impacts as much or more than just the sidewalk, I think. So probably change that to the street being closed rather than just the
And
sidewalk.
probably, I think that our time ought to be 45 days past the completion of it to file, even for Phase 1 people.
Yeah,
Because
it
a
would
lot of
be
these- yeah.
the completion in front of your place of business.
Well,
So you're saying the
it's
entire
still,
project, Dave?
you know, yeah, the entire project. I think because even though Phase 1 will be done in a few days,
Mm-hmm.
it's still not, the rest of the downtown, people aren't going to come down
Mm-hmm.
because of some of the other being torn up. So I think that if we go 45 days from after the completion of the whole project, even for Phase 1 people.
Right. Okay, but it's still that the time frame that we will be looking at will only be the time frame that the sidewalk and the street is
Oh, yeah,
torn
for-
up.
yeah, for their-
But they will
yeah,
have
for the-
45
yeah,
days
right.
after the entire streetscape project is completed to turn in their paperwork.
Right,
Is that okay?
okay. I think probably a maximum $5,000, 3% interest, 24 months. Anyone have any other?
Well, I'm in concurrence with the allotment amount, the 2 to 5,000, with the interest rate and the terms as said. Additionally, I would like to have faith that the businesses will continue, and those that are becoming destitute where they need these funds, that we can rely upon them being unsecured. I don't think it makes sense for us to secure them simply because of the amount of the funds, particularly if we limit ourselves, the city, with the redevelopment funds to the $100,000 as I had stated, rather than up to $250,000. In other words, we would hope that none of the businesses that would come to us to request a loan would default. But if they did, our losses would be maximized to only up to $100,000, and that's a negative scenario that I would
Well,
not
yeah.
see come to fruition. And that's only if we had so many applicants.
Mhm.
Thus far, there's only
Yeah.
been one business that's actually showed interest, and
And we
the
would
other
s-
50 possibilities are theorized.
Yeah. If we could document the dollar amount, if they can show that they lost $1,000 in a 3-week period because they were closed, or, then they would get the $1,000 up to whatever amount you folks state.
All
So
right.
restating that in another way is, they show us a loss.
A
Our
loss.
loan would be up to what their loss
What
is.
their loss was. So if they lost 5,000, or up to 5,000, if they prove that they lost 2,000
Mhm.
for 4 weeks of their street being torn up, we see that through the sales tax records and the profit loss statements,
Mhm.
that's what the amount of the loan would be.
Providing
Up-
that they can repay it.
Yes, and that would be the committee.
Up
and
to a
then
maximum of 5,000.
Of that, so if it was more, it'll be, the cap will be 5,000.
And you feel that we should just go with the unsecured, or? I think we probably can, because the committee is obviously not going to give a loan to a business that wasn't making it in the first place
Right.
before this thing ever started, so I don't think we'll be out that much.
They'll be getting
If
credit
any.
reports and all that.
Right, yeah.
Now, the bank representative, that shouldn't be hard to find, and we could probably find a city staff member, Margaret, right? Okay. And would you have any suggestions on the member at large, where they would come from? A chamber, or?
A chamber member,
I
or
was
someone
thinking-
who's familiar with the business community,
Right.
so they, I'm sure the bank person would know also.
I see one sitting out there in the audience that would probably be a good one for that, too. That,
Would you be agreeable to that, Mr. DeVoe?
Okay. Since, I mean, you know how the other businesses are, because you were affected too, so. Okay, do you need,
We've already got that. You can't apply if you accept this position.
so you need a motion on this?
Is this that-
Okay.
Okay,
Can we-
so what's our consensus then on the
$5,000
ramifications.
limit, 3%, 24 months maximum, unsecured.
And the maximum amount that we're gonna loan out, if it amounts to the 100,000 as stated? 'Cause now- in other words, we won't exceed
Yeah,
$100,000.
I think 100,000 is
Yeah.
more than enough. I don't.
That
think
would be 20 business getting the
Right.
maximum, and I
Yeah,
don't
right.
think
I don't
that's...
think that's going to
Oh,
happen
no.
Yeah.
either. All right, Tim, now that you understand all that, would you like to make the motion on it?
Sure, I move that we approve a business interruption loan program for businesses affected by the streetscape project as said with the adjusted, stated parameters.
And keep all 4 items in too, right?
Yeah,
As
for
written.
the committee to review the 4 items that are listed on the interruption loan program as stated.
I'll second that motion.
Second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Cleve, will you and Margaret take care of getting the committee together
Yes.
on that? Okay. I think it's basically together outside of the bank representative.
And we've talked to them about it also.
Okay. Item number 10C, review status of restoration of historic schoolhouse by Newman Historical Society.
You have some information which I've given you here, and Mary Moore is here tonight also. You have an additional letter which was provided that was not available with the staff report, but which Mary brought over to us also. So.
I'm Mary Moore, President of the Newman Historical Society. Mayor, council members, and Mr. Morris. I wrote you so that I wouldn't forget anything and that you could have your questions instead of me taking up all night, because Portuguese can't say something that's really fast and in a hurry. We have really tried to get this off the ground. Our men were in there tearing down walls, which I failed to mention in the letter, and it was 103 to 104 degrees in there. It was pretty warm. Right now, with the Fall Festival coming, everybody that works in the historical works in the Fall Festival, so things are kind of at a standstill. Another thing was, the most important thing was we could not get our plans out. We could not get the boxes straightened out. And Mr. Mesa said he thought we should wait till everything is set before he sees about getting electricity put in there. He didn't want to put it in and then have to have it tore down. I mean, if the council feels that we should whitewash it or whatever, we are agreeable to that, although it would be a double expense for us. I have the new plans, a copy of the new plans, and also what we hope it's going to look like in the future. I think it will be a very nice building and be an asset to Newman.
I think our main concern is that it's been sitting there for how long now? Close to a year, hasn't it?
Well, it came in December.
December, okay. And at the time, before it was actually moved in there was supposed to be a plan in place with a schedule for completion. And we haven't seen that for one thing. But the main thing we're looking at is getting the outside presentable. The way you're going to do the outside first, then worry about the inside.
Well, the picture that's being passed is what we want to put it back
Okay,
to the
then
original. We
if we
want to
could-
put
if
all
we-
new windows in it, all the 2 front doors instead of the one that's in there now. And we would like to change that. The windows are going to be a cost. The original windows were called a six glass. It's 3, I think it's 6 across the top, and then the bigger window. It's going to cost $400 per window to put in. We will take out the old windows. We have started taking down some of the walls, but they have to have the outlets. PG&E will not hook us up to any electricity till the outlets are all set in. We did not have where they wanted them.
Do you have a box on a pole that you can, for plugging in power tools?
No, we don't. We
That PG&E
use
would
the,
do that for you. they'll put it to a pole, they'll bring a box in, they won't connect it up to your house, but, I mean, to your building, but they will do that. But if you could, I realize that you're trying to get the electricity, the plumbing and everything done inside, but that's something that people don't see. And we're getting a lot of complaints about that place sitting there, and it looks trashy. And it's been compounded by the house that's been put in across the street, but they are working on that, and in 30 to 60 days, that house will be in pretty good shape. So,
Well, what we are going by, Mr. Mayor, is that we are all donated help. We won't
Well, we
start
have-
one phase unless we have the money to pay it. we
have-
can't afford
We have
it.
organizations in the city, the theater, for instance, that works the same way. But,
Well, I think the city
It's,
helped them, didn't they?
no. The city bought the building. That was all the city did, and put the heating and air conditioning system in.
I thought I read in the paper where the city had given them $35,000 to put a new roof on it.
That's a city building. The city owns the building. That's why the roof was put on it. But as far as anything else that's been done, the interior, the sign, outside, has all been done on a volunteer basis. And money raised by the theater itself.
Well, that's what we're
But,
trying to do.
I realize that you're strapped for funds, but we have to get something done with the outside of the building at the expense of holding off the inside until the outside is done, I think.
Would you have a suggestion to what would you like to have it primered?
I would like to have whatever color, if you're going to paint it white, go ahead and strip it down and do the actual paint job.
Well, we're going to tear out the windows, so it would be kind of a
Well, the windows,
catch.
the windows, something's got to be done with the windows, even if you have boards up in there now. If
We
you
have-
would board the windows fully, I mean, those are just boards stuck up there, and they're half covering the windows and half not covering them. The doors are falling apart, just to make it look decent. I think that's the main thing we're looking for.
Well, we have fixed the door twice. It's been kicked, I don't know if it's the soccer players that go on the weekends over there. I know they're using the underneath the house for garbage can. And the screen has been torn down after they've been there. So we don't know who's doing it, but they've kicked in the wall. We put a solid door up. It had a hollow core. We put a solid door up, and they're trying to loosen that up too. So if you want us to put, if it would be okay and satisfactory to the council, that we put plyboard up in the windows completely. We were letting a little bit of air come in so that we could work, but that's beside the point. It'll cool down here pretty quick. And everybody that's working on it has been working on the Fall Festival. We're just stretched out here.
I realize that. Let's see what the rest of the council has to say.
Okay.
Tim, you want to
Any
start off?
suggestions?
Well, I got this readily. It's just aesthetics, and that's basically what the mayor has been alluding to. The building right across the street immediately when that came before us, it's all been about aesthetics. And so anything that can be done to maybe make it look a little more attractive for the residents that live right across the street from the library, for people that travel, I think that's I think that's more or less what the concern is and what he's conveying, and what I know that's what people would complain about most.
Well, you know, I live right behind a pink house with burgundy trim, and I have never complained about it, but it's not my favorite color either, you
Right.
know.
But
But
we're-
that's their choice.
Yeah.
They have a choice to paint their house
And
the
because
color
I
they
think
want to.
Important. I think it's just getting it done.
Well,
make it presentable.
we're trying, you know, all our plans were into the computer at Precision, and when they were let go, our plans stayed in the computer. It took 3 weeks to find them and get them out, but that's the new ones that we have now. We've got one wall tore down, and we've got 2 more that we have to take out to make the space inside. But as soon as we get done with this Fall Festival, we plan on getting out there and wholeheartedly really start working on it.
Yeah, because you only have probably a couple of months to go to really do any painting and work outside before the rainy season hits and cold weather.
Would you rather it be primered, white?
I don't think, no, there's red schoolhouses, you know, the red is
Right.
fine.
I
You want to
thought-
paint it red or whatever, but there's a lot of broken boards and things like that that have to be repaired.
Yeah,
and,
the kids are tearing them out. There's one they told us that was pulled out that the kids have been, because we had it set up there after it was set down on the foundation. It was not that way. But they are pulling it. They have kicked in the door, like I say.
Mary, can I ask her?
Sure.
Is any of this being reported to the police department when there's damage done or problems with that?
I
No?
think Pat came over to the house, Sheldon Crowe,
Okay.
and told me about it. We went down there. We measured the door, one from the inside, and him and I replaced it.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's called City Hall or not.
I have a real, Barbara did?
Barbara did.
Okay, I would like to follow up too. This is the first that I was aware that there was this kind of damage. I'd like to follow up on if there was a belief that possibly it's happening as a result of the soccer group that is out there, because we have an agreement with them to allow them to use the field. And if we can substantiate that those problems are a result of that, we can cut out that use, and we
Well,
will do
I
that.
believe,
So,
and I thought Sheldon would be here, and he went in the other day and dug out quite a few Pepsi cans, sodas, the cartons that the cubes that
Sure.
they come in and stuff
Right.
like that. I believe Debbie saw it,
mhm,
and
yeah.
she had called.
You know, I'm of the opinion that vandalism is not occurring during the soccer game. I think it's probably occurring at night.
Late night.
And, I'm of the opinion that, we'd like to see this completed, because I think the only way the vandalism is going to subside to any degree is to when the building is actually being used. And I know that it's just through volunteers that we are trying to complete this project. One question I have, who actually owns this building?
The Newman Historical Society.
And it's on...
And we started with 38 members, and a lot of them are up there in age that are interested in the town, but as far as getting out and doing the work, they can't help. But we are trying to raise the money. I've sent out the letters that I sent you so that the people, and we do get $20, $30, $40 here and there. And every little bit helps, but we want to pay for each phase as we do it and not go into any debt.
Mary, did you kind of have an idea when this project would be completed? I know originally I thought there was some indication that it would be completed in a year and a half, 2 years. Is
2
that-
years is what I think
that-
they talked about.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, the house was laid down, I think, was it the 20th of December? I think it was the 20th of December was when it was down on the foundation.
well,
Okay,
No, it
wasn't there
yet.
Tom,
I
do you
think
have
it was
anything
moved
to...
in on the
any
20th.
On the
comments?
20th, it was moved in?
No,
Yeah.
all the questions have been asked that I had.
Okay, John,
well,
do you
the
have any
only
comments?
last thing I'd like to say, I'd like to see people in the community, including myself, volunteer time down there to help these good people complete this project. And maybe through the efforts of people in the community, we can speed this up a little bit.
Well, we could use all the help we can get.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
John?
I agree that, it's kind of an eyesore, but I think we should, we said 2 years, we'd give them 2 years, and I think we should, we need more community involvement. I will help also.
I will too.
And seeing as the house was moved in across the street and nothing's happened to that one either,
They are working on it. I saw it today.
are they?
Yeah.
Well, I think the
And I
difference
think we should
between,
give Historical Society a little break and
Well,
seeing as it
what
is
I like-
down on the foundation.
What I'd like to see is to do something to make it look more presentable outside and sit down and come up with a plan of, what's going to happen month by month or, within 6 months or within 9 months or whatever, so that we get a pretty good idea of what's going on. And we can explain to people who complain to us about it.
right. Well, I have the people that are coming in and do the electrical. They're waiting, but we ordered a box. We got the box. PG&E said that was not the right one. We had to have a commercial instead of a residential, so that had to go back. And then now, he said to start putting stuff in there until electricity in there until it is determined that it is ready to go as it is, and the outlets are set in. PG&E will not even hook it up till the outlets are in. So now that we have the plans, we can go forward on that.
Mary, could you or some member of the Historical Society come back and give us a report, say the first meeting in October, as to what you've planned on doing and everything?
Yes, I could do
An
that.
update
Or
on
if you would suggest if if the windows were completely closed off, would that be what you would like to see? Or if you could tell us, because what we would like to do is do all the work on the inside instead of doing the outside and then tearing it down and redoing.
No, I think the outside is important. That's what people see.
Who's getting the complaints? I haven't heard anything. Tim hasn't heard
I
anything.
have from several people.
You have?
Yeah.
I know they don't like the red color.
No, I've never heard a thing about the color.
Well, I've heard that they didn't like the red color, that they wanted it white. But the little red schoolhouse is what we kind of hoped for.
I had a house that same color for a while, and it was fine.
I don't think there's anything wrong with the color.
No, I don't either. I don't think anybody.
Nothing
No.
wrong with the
Okay,
red
anyway,
schoolhouse.
if you would come
Okay,
back,
then.
or someone, the first meeting in October, and just give us an update on it, we
Okay.
appreciate it.
That's fine.
Okay.
I will do that. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mary.
Don't worry about the color. No matter what color you're painting, somebody's going to complain about it.
Yeah, you can't please everyone. All right, item number 10D, adopt resolution number 2001, next number, a resolution recommending disapproval of the Bay Area 22001, I think that's supposed to be 2001, ozone attainment plan unless it mitigates downwind pollution and transport. This is, do you want to take this, Cleve, or you want me to go ahead and?
Either one. I think it's fairly self-explanatory. We've taken action on this before. As you know, Councilmember Applegate sits on the Air District Board and is very familiar with this process. But the main issue is the fact that the Bay Area air pollution comes over from the Bay Area into the valley, which has caused us to have problems as far as reaching our goals that are required of us. And some of the big issues are the fact that they're, number one, they're not required to do smog check 2 over there. And this is what we're trying to do. Each area is required to do this ozone attainment plan. And that's what they are doing right now to get their ozone attainment plan approved for the Bay Area. So what this resolution does is recommends that that not be approved by the appropriate agencies unless measures are taken to mitigate the downwind pollution transport that's happening from the Bay Area over into the valley. So that's the gist of it. Tom or Mayor Reed, if either one of you would like to add anything to that.
Yeah, the Air Resources Board out of the state of California were saying that when they come down and check, they're meeting their goals over there because it's all blowing over here. So therefore, when they're checked, there's nothing there. So what we're trying to do is what Cleve was saying is that we want to get them to start using smog check 2 and get the state to come in and say, hey, you guys are right, because it's coming down not only through here, and it's also coming from Sacramento, and then it goes down through Bakersfield and then down through Paso Robles in those directions. So the whole southern part of the state is getting, from San Francisco, from the Bay Area.
Tom, where do they have their points where they actually measure the smog? It would seem to me that if they located them in the right areas, they would be able to see exactly how much smog is coming into the valley from, say, the San Francisco area or even Sacramento.
I think they have some pretty
have
good,
some
not
numbers?
so much from Sacramento, but from the
Most of us are from the Bay Area. Some does come
They
from
measure
Sacramento.
like in the Altamont Pass through that area.
So they
and
have a
also to check.
good idea already that
Sure.
we're getting a high percentage of our smog is coming from the Bay
Well,
Area.
what it is that they figure, we figure on the Air Pollution Control District that it's not, the whole thing isn't just because of them. I think what the percentages came out is that about 20 to 25% of our problem is from over there. The rest of it is from right here in our own area.
The air's trapped down
Right.
in here.
Well,
Is
that
it-
sounds
it-
reasonable.
Is it true, Tom, that somebody suggested putting a large fan on the pass to blow it all back?
Blow it
over
all
there or
back.
something? I don't
No,
know.
we're going to reverse those fans that are already up there.
Send it back over. Okay. Okay, can we have a motion to adopt or not adopt?
Yeah, I move that we adopt resolution number 2001, next number, a resolution recommending disapproval of the Bay Area 2001 ozone attainment plan unless it mitigates downwind pollution transport.
Second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Item number 10E, Fall Festival Informational Report. Who here is from the Fall Festival?
Chief Brady.
Oh, he's going to do
well,
it, okay.
Yeah,
It's an official.
John can add.
Right.
I'm sure I'll be supplemented by John on this. Mayor and City Council, we have the Fall Festival just about upon us, and I'm here to go over some of the street closures that we will be having. We'll be having street closures on R, Fresno Street, Tulare, and Q as outlined in your packet. These are traditionally, as long as I've been here, and probably longer than that, these streets have been utilized for this. The first one being R Street. When we have the carnival come in, they'll be coming in on a late Wednesday, early Thursday, and we'll be having that street closed first. The parade, which we went through on the last council meeting, and we're going through T Street, we have been able to work with our contractor, and it looks like we'll be able to utilize our main street at this point. And so we're going to go back to our traditional, except for the point where we're going to be turning, instead of at Merced, as we usually do, we'll be turning at Fresno Street. And I've been assured that will be completed and sealed and ready for a wonderful parade time for us down there. It'd be kind of a time to kind of showcase what's been done thus far with the project. Basically, everything hinges on the contractor being able to complete the work at this point.
Thursday.
That's what I've been told. That's great. So I want to make you aware of that change, because it is kind of a major change from what we had talked about last time. One of the things that I failed to put on your packet there, but the Fall Festival Committee also requested the use of the city parking lot next to the St. George Hotel. This would be for farm equipment display. I think they're like milk separators or something of that nature to be
Mike,
utilized.
not next to St. George, next to the old M&M.
So they just be taking up part of that lot.
Part
is
of
that
the,
correct?
just part of the, right behind the old M&M right there.
Okay.
Just
so-
right across from Joe Gomez's museum.
Okay. So so a
On the
lot of
north-
that parking lot would still be available
Just-
for parking?
Just about half of that north side.
Okay.
That's all he needs.
If there's anyone who's never seen that, he's got some great stuff there. And go inside his building. See all of
John,
this.
will the through lanes of the parking lot still be accessible? Will he only be in the parking area?
He's only going to be in the parking area, yes.
Okay.
Just with some equipment and a few antique tractors and stuff like that.
And so they requested from the Fall Festival Committee for not only just police services, the street closures, but other needs that they have for public works are pretty much as outlined and as in years past. I'll be asked, ready to take any kind of questions you may have regarding this, or John may be able to also provide some.
Do you
enlighten us a little bit.
anticipate any problems of making the turn on Fresno with the bulb outs? Like with the airplanes and,
No, we discussed that already.
Should,
okay.
no.
Is there an airplane entered this year?
There's supposed to be one.
I know it was kind of up in the air the other day.
There's supposed to be one that's up in the air.
That was a fun, that was meant to be.
That's a good one. I know why you're
I like that.
We're trying to get him out of the air. And
kind of up in the air.
Well, in case it hits the ground, we're going to be prepared for that turn.
Their comment when we discussed that, because there is a possibility of one semi with a flatbed on the back of it, but comment that I received, and they reviewed it with our police lieutenant, and with them, they said that it will be able to make the turn. So,
Well, one truck could go down to Merced, couldn't it?
if necessary, we could look at that, but, yeah.
Any questions on this?
No.
John, you want to make any other comments on it, or?
just that starts Wednesday night's a fashion show tomorrow night. Friday night is the wine and cheese. Tickets available still. And go from there. Saturday, Sunday, all day in the park. Parade Sunday,
Parade's at 10 o'clock, right?
11.
11.
11 o'clock Sunday.
It's supposed to be a warm weekend too.
No, it's supposed to cool
Upper
down.
80s, yeah.
It's cool down.
Well,
Upper
they
80s
changed their
and
mind
low
now,
90s.
yeah.
Yeah,
To me, that's warm.
better than 104.
It's not 103. Any other questions for Mike?
No, we'll have everything under control except for maybe the
Okay.
weather.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Item 11, items from city manager.
Just a couple of things quickly. I think we've been doing regular updates, and most of the council is aware of what's happening on the streetscape. It appears we're still working, and it appears that either Wednesday night or Thursday they will be able to open up the Fresno and Main intersection. The one part that is possibly holding that up right now is the sealer that they have to put on the bricks and the stamped concrete to protect it.
Did they get in touch with you this afternoon?
Yes.
Or they-
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll make the final decision tomorrow morning. I think we'll be okay, but it may delay it till Thursday rather than Wednesday night, depending on when they.
We're
can get
going
that
with
plate.
the sealer that saturates the...
Yes.
Okay.
Well, probably. We haven't made the final decision on that. We're going to discuss it with Ray and the inspector.
We're not
and the
going with the glaze, Tom.
No. Well, they present that to us, but I'm almost sure that we won't do
No,
that. That doesn't make sense.
we don't want people skating down.
Right. Right.
When it rains.
We've also, there's a lot of questions out there, I know, regarding the Inyo Avenue project. That has been a real nightmare for us. We don't have a schedule yet on when that will conclude because of a couple of problems. The sign that we need to get removed, and also with PG&E, but PG&E is almost finished with their poles now. They should be in the next day or two. So we will be proceeding with hopefully getting that the surfacing getting going soon on that. The other item I wanted to talk about was the skate park. I wanted to publicly thank, because I failed to get names. I'm trying to still get names of all those who came out and volunteered that day. Councilmember Fantasia was there, Mayor Reed was there. We also had several others. I'm estimating somewhere in the neighborhood of at least a dozen or more adults, and probably as many as 20 youth that were out there or more. And I really want to thank all of them. The youth were great. They were no complaining. They were great help. Anytime I asked them to even do things like pick up garbage that needed to be taken to dumpsters, etc., they jumped right in, grabbed it, and took care of it. So it was a great help. I think it was a terrific volunteer project. Really showed everybody's ability to get out there and get something done. As far as an update, as many of you know, there were some parts that were missing and we were unable to complete it that day. Those parts have come in now. They completed part of it today, and we hope to get the rest of it finished this week, just using our Public Works crews. We've been delayed a little bit on that because we're also trying to get ready for the Fall Festival, so it's just a timing issue of having staffing to get all of those things done at the same time. But we hope to get it done this week. My tentative plan that I wanted to bring up to the council and see if they're okay with this would be to try to schedule something for the following Saturday, which will be the 8th of September, for a possible grand opening event that we could have out there at the park. I don't know what the council thinks of that date, if that's something that works.
Sounds good.
We can basically do it anytime. I was looking at something around 11 o'clock, and that's only for my own
Okay, no, that's...
use. The reason I'm asking that is I coach one of our soccer teams, and we have pictures that morning and then a game, and so it would be hard for me to get there before then. But I could do it earlier if you wanted to do it earlier.
no,
That's fine.
Does that sound all right? 11 o'clock on the 8th. And what I plan on doing is just having some donuts or juice, something like that, donuts and coffee, etc. And then I'm going to talk to some of the skaters to have them do a demonstration that day. As you know, there have been some concerns raised with the main problem we're having right now is encouraging and getting the users to wear all of the safety gear that is required. We will continue working with that. Our police department has been, enforcing that and doing what they can. We do not have them out there all the time, so many times as soon as they leave, the kids take their helmets off or take their pads off. But we will continue to enforce that as much as we can. Obviously we can't keep a police officer over there all the time, but we'll continue to work with that. One of the things we are looking at, many of the kids are saying, well, I don't have elbow pads, and we're saying, well, you need to get some. I'm working with the chief. We may look at purchasing some pads ourselves, have them available to sell either at the police department and then possibly also on that day when we have our grand opening. Also, as we do the demonstration, we will ensure that all the kids are wearing the proper
That-
safety equipment.
that was my next
That
remark.
won't be an option. We will make sure that that's the case.
I did a little demonstration over there myself.
Yes, Councilmember Parker
Yeah,
tried out.
I tried it out a little. I had.
Overall, I will comment, though, I have talked to several of the skaters who are using it, and overwhelmingly, the response is, it's great, they love it, it's far more than what they expected they were going to get out there, and as far as the setup and the way it works, there's been nothing really negative. They've had some suggestions, and we're working on some of that, but overall, it has been very positive. They love it. They think it's a great addition to our park system. The only final thing I wanted to mention on that, I talked to the mayor a little bit about this, and that is that now that we have this in place, we've talked about the fact that we want to step up the enforcement of not allowing bikes, skateboards, inline skates, especially in our downtown area. There are a few other areas that we've talked about, but the main focus is on the downtown area. So I've talked to the police chief about that, and we will be, especially in those times, for instance, right after school and et cetera, we will be trying to get extra enforcement out there and try to keep them off the sidewalks. Obviously, again, it's a matter of staffing and being able to have somebody available down there all the time. Obviously, we can't do that, but we can try to step up the time when we know that the potential for them to be down there is. So we will do everything that we can to enforce that. And I think that's all I have, unless there's other questions by council.
I think so. John, everything?
Cleve, I just had a question on ANU. Last meeting was brought about watering the road. I noticed it's only been done, I think, once in the last 2 weeks. And
I talked to the inspector today. We were under the impression they were going to continue to do that. He talked to them. Well, I didn't follow up with him this afternoon, but he was going to call them today, instruct them that it needs to be watered 3 times a day. If it is not, we will hire our own water truck to come in and do it, and charge it against their, deduct it from their billings, which we receive from
the
them.
poor guy that lives on the corner there of ANU and L, he waters his own every morning.
I've seen that he
'cause
does that, but yeah.
Imagine what his house looks like inside.
I'm assuming that will start tomorrow. That's what the inspector was going to request.
Okay.
And so I will follow up on that and see if that's done, but it should be done 3 times a day until it's taken care of. So
That'd be good, because they're F&A and Garton and Mr. Rocha, they're kind of having a rough time over there.
Well, then
The
also
dust.
the, what's the bean place?
Oh,
They're gonna be
Vegical.
starting up.
Vegical.
Vegical's gonna be starting
either
up.
Monday or Tuesday, they are planning on starting up.
Yeah.
So
They
can't
definitely need to
have
be
that
watered
dust
if they're going to
roaming
be
around
running.
there.
That's all I had, just, remind everybody about the wine and cheese. Friday night tickets are still available at the bank, at Madison Newspapers, and Ace Hardware. And the fashion show tickets are available from
And,
Sir Optimus members and
They're also available at Rico Pierce.
Rico Fitzer
Yeah.
Pierce Insurance.
Whatever.
Right.
yeah. Okay.
That's all I had.
Bob, do you have anything?
Just a comment, Chief Brady, your people are doing an excellent job. Their presence downtown, I think, has eliminated some of the, not vandalism, I think it's just carelessness on people's parts. There's a yellow tape up and they just proceed right through it. And I've been down there several times, they've had to yell at them, so it's just, but anyway, I think they've done an excellent job, and thank you for the presence.
Jackie's been doing a great job. She has a very authoritative voice when it comes to these kids down there. Tom?
Yeah, I just wanted to, I've been by the skateboard park several times now, and I would probably estimate about kids with pads, maybe 90% aren't wearing them. Helmets, about 98% are wearing them. Just wanted to remind the parents that these kids are out there at risk on their own risk. And if anything happens to them, the parents are responsible for whatever it takes to, for accidents and that kind of stuff. So parents, you got to tell your kids to start doing this. Let's see, my oldest son is 34. So therefore, when he was about 14, he never left the house without knee pads, elbow pads, and helmet. And he always wore those things. And I'm talking about 20, 30, 40 years ago. So it's nothing new. So you kids start wearing those,
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Tim?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. I just wanted to comment about the loan program and the fact that I'd like to encourage our citizens to continue to patronize the businesses downtown, try to keep the dollars here in town as much as we possibly can. I think much of what we've discussed, inclusion of the skateboard park, which I know is a wonderful asset to this community. Like I said, I did try it out myself. They thought initially maybe I was an expert. They found out very quickly that I was not, because I fell on my derriere a couple of times really quickly.
Well, it wasn't built for motorcycles, Tim.
Yeah, I noticed that. But, you know, as much as we speak of vigorous enforcement and keeping things at bay as much as we possibly can with our police department, with us by trying to have a tendency to set an example, it begins at home, and it always begins with the community in general. And I think in terms of the growth of this community, that it still has that cohesiveness. You hear a lot of embattlement sometimes, and I will state that I read the firing line vigorously. That's one thing I've always read, and as I continue to read the entire paper, you know, public comment, particularly for us, the politicos in this community, is very important. But I think that there's a cohesiveness here that generally people want to do the right thing. That's a saying I like to use. You know, just do the right thing. And I think that's imparting on some of the vandalism that's taking place downtown. You know, do the right thing. At the skateboard park, protect yourself, because injuries will incur if you're not protected properly. Do the right thing. When parents send their kids off to school, you know, coaches, etc., and us as adults setting the examples of no one's 100%, but in most instances try to do the right thing. I think imparting that thought, conveying that thought, will eliminate some of the concerns that we generally continue to have in terms of, you know, a broken window syndrome. You know, lived here for 10 years, going on 11 years now, and rest assured you know, in terms of what takes place in this town, as opposed to what you see in bigger metropolitans and even other smaller towns. I just drove down the valley in Fresno, and there was a whole heave of graffiti everywhere along Highway 99. You know, there is a deterrent factor here that's just not the police. I think it's the deterrent factor of generally just how people are here. And you hear this from time to time, and I've read about it, you know, the Bay Area versus people living here, etc. Just in general, I think people want the same things, and that's just a nice place to be, and that's what I've always considered this town. I've continued to consider it a nice place to be, and I would hope, and I have faith, that others have that same thought. And I just wanted to convey that. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. We missed you last meeting. Meeting was over with so soon. We just
You know, actually, the Miami Heat versus the Newman Heat, I prefer the Newman Heat. I tend to sweat a lot there. It's high humidity. It's good to be back.
I really don't, everything's been covered that I had notes on. Just come down, enjoy the Fall Festival festivities, and everybody had a good time, have a good time, and we need a item number 13, which is adjournment.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are